gosh, dude. Wow, look at that.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most popular and convincing UFO sightings from around the world.
A case that is so unique that it almost deserves its own classification.
Number 20. Green fireballs.
December 5th, 1948, in New Mexico, 2 different sightings by aircraft that were in the area at the time.
Everyone knows the general shape of your typical UFO. It's been a mainstay in pop culture for decades. But what about green fireballs? The earliest observation of this bizarre phenomenon dates to December 5th, 1948, when a green fireball was observed over New Mexico by 2 airplane crews. One of the crews was military, lending further credence to the event. Sightings have continued ever since, with reports even coming in from Japan and Australia. Some believe these fireballs are exceptionally bright meteors, while others at the time thought they were some type of foreign weapon. However, no consensus has ever been reached.
These things came straight at us, then went along the horizon and shot back up into the sky. Can a meteor do that?
Under the right conditions.
Number 19. Exercise main brace.
Is that the ghost ship? That was definitely it.
In the fall of 1952, NATO conducted Exercise Main Brace in the North Atlantic Ocean. It was an extensive military operation involving 80,000 soldiers, 1,000 planes, and hundreds of ships. Military personnel witnessed a number of strange aircraft throughout the exercise, including a silver sphere and a triangular-shaped object that emitted a blue light and traveled at an estimated 900 miles per hour. And on September 19th, RAF officers in Topcliffe, England, witnessed a UFO hovering above a fighter jet before zipping off at unbelievable speeds. It was this sighting, according to Edward Ruppelt of Project Blue Book, that made Britain officially recognize the UFO.
I did you the courtesy of compiling some witness statements. That way no one's wasting time out here. The Russians sure aren't.
Number 18. The Westchester Boomerang.
It looked like a city of lights just hung in the sky of all brilliant colors.
In the early 1980s, the Hudson Valley region was visited by what some people call the Westchester Boomerang. Witnesses described the craft as a V-shape or a circle, outlined in brilliant lights of white, red, or green. The incident was debunked as a group of Cessna 152s flying in tight formation. The Cessna pilots reportedly found the UFO reports hilarious and may have done it as a prank. But some UFOologists remain unconvinced. Some eyewitnesses insisted that what they saw was not a group of planes, or that some sightings were planes, sure, but there was a UFO up there too. J. Allen Hynek, the former scientific advisor to Project Blue Book, claimed there's no logical explanation for it.
However, to this day, many of the eyewitnesses maintain that what they saw could not have been a handful of airplanes.
Number 17. The Transne Provance case.
Morgan, this crop stuff is about a bunch of nerds who never had a girlfriend in their lives.
Popular Mechanics has called the Transne Provance case perhaps the most completely and carefully documented sighting of all time. So buckle up. It occurred in France on January 8, 1981, when farmer Renato Nicolai saw a UFO land about 160 feet from where he was working. It quickly took off, leaving behind burn marks, and Nicolai informed the authorities. The gendarmerie took samples of the area and sent them off for testing. Analysis proved that the ground had been compressed by a force of about 4 tons, and best of all, it had been scorched by temperatures of 600 degrees Celsius. The French Space Agency conducted an investigation into the event, but were unable to find a satisfactory conclusion.
Excluding the possibility that a female Scandinavian Olympian was running around outside our house last night, what else might be a possibility?
Number 16. The McMinville Photos.
And they're called the Trent Photos. 2 shots of a flying saucer over McMinville are some of the most debated pieces of Oregon history.
When people say we don't have any clear evidence of UFOs, show them the McMinville Photos. These famous pictures, taken by farmers Paul and Evelyn Trent, show what looks to be a very clear UFO hovering above their Oregon farm. These photos were widely circulated in May of 1950, appearing in national newspapers and Life magazine. Of course, many people are skeptical, suggesting that the Trents staged the photo using a model or a side view mirror and some thread. However, UFOologists remain convinced that the craft is real, an opinion bolstered by the Trents' behavior, as they never sought money or fame for the photos.
They weren't out for publicity, and they certainly didn't chase for this thing for money. They wanted really to be left alone and live their own quiet life on their farm.
Number 15, the invasion of Washington.
You've got these reports of these objects flying over the nation's capital.
When the aliens start coming for the nation's capital, we know we're doomed. Have you ever seen Independence Day? Well, if reports are true, that movie almost happened in real life in the summer of 1952. A number of UFO sightings occurred over Washington, D.C., with UFO historians Curtis Peebles stating, "Never before or after did Project Blue Book and the Air Force undergo such a tidal wave of UFO reports." At one point, the supposed UFOs hovered over the White House and the Capitol, attracting the attention of Andrews Air Force Base. The incident scared both the Truman administration and the CIA, who feared the potential of mass hysteria. The Robertson Panel was created as a response and was tasked with analyzing reports of UFO sightings.
The Air Force really had to say something, so they held the largest press conference since the end of the Second World War.
Number 14, the Lubbock Lights.
A series of UFO sightings that 5 decades later still defies explanation.
At around 9 p.m. on August 25th, 1951, several people, including 3 professors from Texas Technological College, observed about a dozen lights flying over Lubbock. Just a few nights later, a young man named Carl Hart Jr. witnessed lights flying in a V formation and snapped some photos. Becoming known as the Hart photographs, they were widely circulated in the media, adding to the nation's deepening interest in UFOs. These lights were attributed to the undersides of birds reflecting the city's new streetlights. However, some experts have disputed this theory, including the head of Texas Tech's biology department, J.C. Cross.
From the recently installed mercury vapor street lamps along Hollister Avenue, hitting a flock in flight, you get, voila, a V-shaped alien armada.
Number 13, space sightings.
We're going to move on out of that mysterious close encounter. This object you see here was caught on camera flying past the SpaceX rocket just minutes after liftoff last week.
Believe it or not, there are several spooky accounts from astronauts describing what appear to be UFOs. This lends incredible credence to their existence, as astronauts could be considered highly dependable witnesses. The first instance occurred during the Gemini 4 mission in 1965. When Jim McDivitt spotted what he described as a white cylindrical shape. What he saw has never been officially established. Fast forward to 2020, when Russian cosmonaut Ivan Wagner was filming the Aurora Australis from the ISS. He captured what he personally refers to as space guests. The Russian space agency Roscosmos admitted that the video was mysterious. Or how about that object that sped past a SpaceX capsule in 2021? Space is creepy, man.
This actually played a huge role in understanding ice buildup during the shuttle days. Now this video may do the same, and SpaceX will likely look at it frame by frame.
Number 12. The Oare Sighting.
You're seeing flying discs.
Well, look at the pilot and the ramp guys are telling us the C-17, they saw some flying disc above them. We can't see above us.
It was November 7th, 2006, when a ramp employee at Chicago O'Hare's International Airport saw what appeared to be a metallic craft hovering above Flight 446, which he was in the process of pushing back. But he wasn't the only one. In total, 12 United Airlines employees spotted the craft at the same time, describing it as silent and dark gray. The only thing they disagreed on was the size. With estimates ranging from 6 to 24 feet in diameter, the incident was officially reported to the FAA, but they refused to investigate, claiming that it was probably just a weather phenomenon.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Number 11. The Disappearance of Frederick Valentich.
And I could just picture him sort of in the aircraft looking around for this object in the sky.
It was October 1978 when a pilot named Frederick Valentich called Melbourne Flight Services, claiming that a strange aircraft had been following him. Officials told Valentich that radar showed nothing in the sky with him, but he wasn't convinced, continuing to ask for help against his pursuer. He described the object's design, stating it had a metallic surface and bright green lights. And moments later, he reported that he was experiencing engine trouble. The last words heard from Valentich were extremely chilling, because when he was asked to describe the aircraft even further, he bluntly stated it isn't an aircraft, just before communications were cut off.
It's hovering and it's not an aircraft.
Number 10. Warren Air Force Base UFO.
I'm putting it out so people can communicate about it and we can get more video, more evidence, and try to solve a case. That's the whole point here.
Do aliens really come in peace, as the movies say? This 2010 encounter began when the Warren Air Force Base reported losing total control over the nuclear missiles they were storing, with their many engineers unable to communicate with them via their intricate computer network systems. Shortly thereafter, a massive cigar-shaped object, believed to be a UFO, was said to be seen hovering above the Wyoming base. You probably think there's a connection between the UFO and the malfunctioning missiles, right? Well, it gets freakier. Supposedly, the military base received transmissions from the UFO threatening them not to call for help due to the missile disruptions. Spooky stuff.
Okay, it's spooky. All right, I'll grant you, it's more than spooky.
Number 9. Olympics.
Sir, I think you need to go on TV and convince the people that there is no such thing as a UFO.
Don't spell in front of me, damn it.
The 2012 London Olympics were packed with athletes and audience members during the opening ceremony. Well, packed on the ground. Word is there were no aircraft of any kind scheduled to be in the area at the time, especially considering the fireworks display. But if that were true, then what were those ominous lights hovering overhead? As stated, helicopters, planes, jets, and every other aircraft vehicle right down to hot air balloons was banned from being anywhere near the Olympics that day, leading many to theorize that the saucer-shaped metallic object could be an indication of visitors from outer space. To be fair, the Olympics are a huge event, so maybe aliens just wanted to see what all the fuss was about.
All right, Beatrice, there was no alien. Flash of light you saw in the sky was not a UFO. Swamp gas from a weather balloon was trapped in a thermal pocket and refracted the light from Venus.
Number 8. Kbur UFO Incident.
25 years after the fiery object was seen streaking through the skies, the answers to the mystery remain as elusive as the object itself.
One night in 1965, residents across American states and in Ontario, Canada, witnessed a blazing fireball fall from the sky and crash to the earth in Pennsylvania. The thunderous impact caused shockwaves and sonic booms to ripple across the landscape and started grass fires. It didn't take long for members of the government and press to be all over the incident, which they wrote off as a simple meteor. However, due to the unusual sonic booms and the fact that many people said they saw trails of blue smoke in the sky where the object crashed, there was still speculation that the huge fireball was something out of this world, literally.
But it was something that went out of control, come down in Kbur.
Number 7. Hopa Incident.
Do you have any film in your camera?
Sure.
Okay, you guys go get it and bring it on outside, okay? Right up front.
Before.
Look, just get it and come on out front, okay?
UFO?
When Japanese student Masahiro Kiro was looking through his father's old belongings, he probably never expected to discover a photo apparently taken in Hebei, China, with a potential UFO smack dab in the middle. The object has a half-dome, half-disc-based appearance, and if you look closely at the photograph, you can see many of the people below pointing up towards the sky at it. Naturally, many skeptics have since shut down the UFO conspiracies surrounding the photograph, claiming the blip in the sky to be either a bird or a hat being tossed up into the air. To this day, the jury's still out on this one. So it's possible it was indeed little green men.
And Dr. Arroway here will be spending her precious telescope time listening for
little green men.
Number 6, the Landrum Incident.
Ronnie, I need you to see something with me. It's really important.
Referred to as a close encounter of the second kind due to the direct physical and mental impact it had on nearby citizens, the Landrum UFO Encounter is like something out of a sci-fi horror film. After reports surfaced of military helicopters chasing a huge diamond-shaped UFO through the area, many individuals began to feel sick and cars stopped working altogether. 2 women and a young boy claimed to have seen the UFO up close and said they felt an intense heat surging through them. Over the course of the next few days, they all grew increasingly sick, with one woman allegedly developing skin cancer due to whatever was in the sky that day.
Roy! Oh, Roy, you're sunburned. Look at you.
Wow.
Number 5. The Pentagon UFO videos.
In night vision video from a Navy destroyer, a mysterious flying triangle above the deck of the ship.
Okay, now the freaking Pentagon is releasing UFO videos and shrugging their shoulders, saying, "We don't know." In 2017, 3 leaked recordings from advanced infrared cameras aboard Navy fighter jets were published online, which the Pentagon later admitted were genuine. In 2021, the Pentagon confirmed the authenticity of another video taken aboard the USS Russell, showcasing a triangular object over the ocean. And in 2023, yet another video followed, showing a small metallic orb gliding over the Middle East. So just what the heck are these things? Well, explanations vary wildly, from unknown foreign devices to system malfunctions and atmospheric phenomena. Hey, what about aliens?
Are those the only videos that the government has? He said no. Those were probably the least compelling videos. And in some videos, you see an object about 50 feet away from the cockpit.
Number 4. The Gorman Dog Fight.
This was one of the earliest pilot cases that were well described, well observed.
25-year-old World War II veteran George Gorman was soaring through the skies of North Dakota on October 1st, 1948, when he noticed a blinking light in the distance. Gorman immediately contacted a nearby airport to ask if anyone was in the sky with him. They radioed back that, other than a small Piper Club plane he'd already noticed, the skies around him were empty. Gorman decided to get a closer look, and an aerial dogfight ensued. But even with his jet shooting through the clouds at 400 miles per hour, the supposed UFO was able to effortlessly avoid him at every turn. Just when Gorman thought he had the UFO caught, it fired vertically upwards and disappeared.
My father loved Air Force pilots because he said, how can the Air Force deny reports by people that they themselves trained?
Number 3. The Westall UFO Encounter.
A teacher who claimed to see UFOs hovering over a Melbourne school says military officials threatened to have him fired if he ever spoke about the incident.
On April 6, 1966, students of 2 schools in Westall, Australia had their classes cancelled in the most bizarre fashion. A gray saucer-shaped object was seen descending from the sky and then landing not far from one of the school's locations. There are conflicting reports as to the shape and color of said UFO, with some claiming it had hints of purple and others stating it had a more greenish hue. But one detail is constant. The UFO remained immobile for 20 minutes, doing nothing as nearly 200 people looked on. Eventually, the UFO shot back to life and gained altitude at a blistering speed, joining 5 similar-looking ships as they all vanished into the distance.
Turned on its side and went zoom straight up into the air and disappeared almost instantly. And there were 2 other craft in the air at the time.
Number 2. Lonnie Zamora Incident.
And so it's very hard to deny. In fact, even skeptics will not deny that Officer Zamora saw something and that what he saw was probably what he said he saw.
Police officer Lonnie Zamora was driving alone in his patrol car one evening in Socorro, New Mexico, when, out of nowhere, a loud roaring sound shook his car while he was chasing a speeding driver. He then saw a flaming object fall from the sky. Moving in for a closer look, Lonnie says he saw an oval-shaped object that had landed in the distance, with what looked like two small men, or at least 4 legs, standing next to it. Lonnie could barely register what the object was when suddenly the same roaring sound came back even more intensely than before, and the object rocketed towards the sky, leaving our atmosphere.
Lonnie Zamora had no idea that Socorro was about to become another landmark, the location of what some believe is one of the most significant UFO sightings ever made.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. The Battle of Los Angeles, aka the Great Los Angeles Air Raid.
And these people opened fire on whatever this object or objects were.
On the night between February 24th and 25th, 1942, at the height of World War II, air raid sirens blared in Los Angeles County. Pretty soon, the United States Coast Artillery Brigade opened fire on a supposed attacker from the sky. Initially, many people believed it to be Japanese forces, as tensions were high between the two after the bombardments of Pearl Harbor and Elwood. But ultimately, military officials labeled the event a false alarm. While many skeptics argue that wartime nerves had everyone suddenly firing a barrage of bullets into the sky, the fact that the shooting lasted for at least an hour led many to believe there must have been some sort of target, specifically extraterrestrial in nature, for them to aim at.
Clearly, there were no Japanese planes in the air. There were no aircraft carriers in the area. And yet, this was a real thing.
Have you ever witnessed what you thought to be a UFO? Tell us your story in the comments below.
The helplessness and fear Angelinos felt was very real.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.